All right, guys, welcome back to your new agent orientation. Jermaine here again. And this final section, or second to final section, is the in-home section. And we're going to spend probably about 15, maybe 20 minutes. I'm going to keep it to about 15 minutes in this section. But it is a section that I want to make sure you understand clearly, and that you're ready to go when it comes to what you're going to do in the home with the client. And we've made it pretty simple for you. So I'm going to jump into this knowledge library. And I've got that 6 agents with you tip that I'm going to share here, how we make that happen, where you have 6 agents with you in every house that you go into. So that way you are more than equipped and you don't have to feel nervous because you've got 6 other agents that's done this before going with you into that house. So in the in-home section, or in the home section, here in the knowledge library, this is the format in which you want to go through every in-home presentation. We've kind of broken it down nice and simple. Step 1, complete the client worksheet. I'll show you what that is. Step 2, review the final expense in term grid. I'll show you what that is here in a second. Review your product underwriting guide. I do recommend you either print or have the bookmarked product underwriting guide for each of the products we went through in the last section. So that way you can reference them, and the insurance companies will tell you, hey, we'll take this condition, we won't take that condition. And this is just a secondary step because the underwriting grid is sufficient. And then you can, if you still need more, then you can, step 4, review the application questions. I always have printed applications with me, so I'm able to quickly pull one out of my bag and I'll read through the questions. And the insurance companies make it so simple. If you say no to everything, the client's approved, if it's accurate. Now, if you say yes to something, then you'll either see it's going to be declined or they're going to be graded for those whole life products that offer graded benefits. So just simply reading the question. If all you did was print the applications for every product, and when you're with the client, read the application questions, you can be a master or senior underwriter, if you will, when you're out there in the field, because the application qualifies the client, and you're guaranteed, as long as the client's giving you accurate information, that you'll get them approved. And then step 5 is call the in-home helpline. And this is the secret, where you have 6 people. So we have 6 producers on call, so that way when you dial that 800 number, it's ringing 6 cell phones, and whichever one of those producers are available, they answer the phone and they're able to help you with your questions. The first questions they're going to ask you, or the first question when they answer, I'll say, hey, this is Jermaine. Have you completed the client worksheet and checked the final expense underwriting grid? Your answer better be yes. If not, say no, I'll call you back. Once it's yes, okay, how can I help you? What's your question? And then you're able to explain, hey, I looked at the underwriting grid. This is what I saw. Just want to make sure I'm going in the right direction. So that's kind of a quick overview. Let me dive in a little bit just to explain how that process works. So when you complete the client worksheet is here. This is like our financial inventory or intake form. You go to the doctor's office and they hand you the clipboard and say, hey, fill this out. Let us know when you're done. Well, in this case, that's our form here, but we fill it out. And then once we're done, we're looking at the underwriting grid to be able to determine which product will be able to help qualify the client. Now, you could go to YouTube, Family First Life client worksheet, Family First Life financial inventory sheet, and you'll be able to see video training in addition to what's in the training section of the knowledge library on how to complete this worksheet. It's structured strategically to give you that process in the home, and that's structured. So it's created strategically with structure to guide you through making that sale. Because as you're asking this information and you're collecting data, what you're collecting is ammunition that you're going to be able to use to help your client, not against your client, but for your client, to make sure that they make a decision to protect their family today. I use this in every house to this day, 4.5 years into my career. It could be a virtual appointment, an in-person appointment. I don't do it without my client worksheet. And so whether it's mortgage protection or final expense, I'm completing this client worksheet. And that way I'm able to better diagnose the client situation. And the key area here is 2 areas. Medical information, you want to be as detailed as possible. And one of the things I say, because you'll watch the training videos, I'm not going to do a full in-home presentation here. That's what the training videos are for. But I want to highlight that when it comes to the medical information, you want to make sure you're not submitting a policy that's going to get declined or delayed. And so I'm very thorough with my clients, and I tell them, hey, Miss Mary, the insurance companies are going to look at everything that you've ever been prescribed, whether you took it or not, everything that you've ever been diagnosed for. Okay, so be as detailed as possible because I work for you. My job is to get you approved. I know which company will decline and which one will approve, and I want to get you with the one that's going to approve so this coverage is in place for you. So that's very crucial. And you want to take copious notes, the prescriptions, when were they diagnosed, how long did they take it for, so that way you have a clear understanding of that condition or prescription. And then the other section that's crucial is this client information section. And yes, it looks like you're just collecting data, but this again is ammunition that you can utilize to protect the client, right? And so when I'm in this section, as I'm asking the client this information, I'm also asking their why. This is where I uncover their why. It's like, yep, I got your name, I got your date of birth, I got your age, I got, the address and stuff is on the lead. I don't need to write that down. Phone number is on the lead. I verify your age, your income, those type of things. But then also, what are we looking to do? Who are we trying to protect? Why is that important to you? Has somebody in your family passed away? How did you deal with that? Were you involved in the funeral planning? Was that a burden on the family? Did they have insurance? Did they not have insurance? How did that make you feel knowing that they didn't have insurance and now you have to come out of your pocket? I'm assuming that's why you fill this out, right? You don't want to be in that position or leave anybody in that position. What does it look like if you die and then Mary has to pay this mortgage and your income is gone? How is she going to do that? Mary, where are you going to live? Are you comfortable living there? Is that what you'd want to have happen? God forbid Bob passes away next week. Questions like those where you're truly coming alongside the client and being a solution provider, and you're assessing their needs and you're letting them know you're not there just to sell them something. You're there to identify a problem and provide them with the proper, affordable solution for that problem. That's what I do in this section. So it's not just collecting data. And there's a lot of training videos on that that you can watch. That's just a quick overview. So if you need to rewind that, jot those down. That's what I would do. And that's what I did when I got started and I heard training like this. So that's a quick overview of the client worksheet and how to utilize it. Once you have that completed, then your next step, according to this graphic, is review the FEX term grid and FEX and term grid. So if I'm with Miss Mary and she's like, Jermaine, I just want to know that when I die, nobody's going to be burdened. My daughter Sue is the one that's going to be responsible, and I just don't want her to have to deal with this. So she's looking for a final expense policy. And so when I go to the underwriting grid, I already have all her prescriptions and medications. And so let's say Miss Sue, she had cancer 3 years ago. It was surgery and she was done cancer-free. She didn't have to take any prescriptions. She didn't have to do any chemo, no radiation, just surgery. And she's cured, thankfully, 3 years ago. So now I go to the final expense grid and I'm going to go down to cancer because I'm not sure. I'm new. Hey, who can approve cancer? Man, that's crazy. She had cancer. Glad she survived. All right, so let's go to cancer real quick. So here on the cancer, I'm always going to go to America first because they're the easiest application to get completed and they approve right away on the spot. So I could tell Miss Mary, you're approved, congratulations. And so that's going to be my first go-to. So I scroll over to the second column here where it says America, and it says other than basal cell. Okay, so we're talking about internal cancer, not just skin cancer. Basal cell is skin cancer. So it says if the cancer was metastatic or recurring, then it would be declined. So if Miss Mary said, yeah, I had cancer and 5 years ago, and then it came back 2 years after, that's recurring. Metastatic is that it's spread throughout the body. So if she said, yep, started in my lungs and then went to my liver, then she's gonna get declined by America. So I know I gotta go a different route. But in this case, she just had it 3 years ago and she's cured. So this also says if it's within 2 years, it's guaranteed issue, which means they'll approve it. But once you read your product guide, you'll see that guaranteed issue means that she can only get 10,000 and she has a 3-year graded benefit where it's just partial coverage, 30%, 70%, and then 100%, I believe is how it works, but you could read up on that. And then Eureka, what I'm looking for, If it's greater than 2 years since she's had cancer or treatment for cancer, then it's allowed, which means Americal will approve. So that's how you utilize this underwriting guide. And we have 95% of the health conditions listed here. And that other 5% is typically going to be AIG. If you don't see it here, you also don't see AIG on here. So most likely it's going to be an AIG client. But you can always, again, my next step, if I'm you, once I've reviewed that, I'm pretty sure it's America. Or if it's not on there, then I'm calling the in-home helpline, the 6 people that are with me in this appointment. And I could just turn to one of them by calling them and saying, hey, Andre, I'm sitting with Miss Mary. I looked at the underwriting grid. She had cancer 3 years ago. Looks like America will approve. I just want to make sure I'm on the right track, and we'll be able to get her approved. So this coverage is in place for her daughter, Sue. And Andre will say, yep, you're on the right track. Go ahead, write her up. And then I get off the phone. Miss Mary, great news. Spoke to a senior underwriter, one of 6 that I have here with me in the appointment. And we can get you approved for this coverage. We're pretty confident. As long as everything on the medical report match, we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and submit the application. And so let me show you a couple options. Okay, so that way we could pick an option to submit the application. And so now you're able to utilize the rest of this knowledge library in-home section, and you could go to America quoting tool. Okay, you go to state of Georgia, which is my home state, and the Eagle Premier again is the final expense product. You hit create, and then let's say Miss Mary's 50, she's female, non-smoker, $10,000 in insurance, and then you hit run and $34.08. Okay, and I'm typically going to give Miss Mary 3 options. Okay, and then let her pick the 3 options. And my 3 options, I do top-down selling, where I'll start at the maximum. America's maximum on the Eagle Premier is 30,000, and then I might drop to 20 and 15 just to give her some range. And if we need to go lower, we do. But I always like to get them at least 15,000 because the cost of funerals rising over the with inflation and everything. And then once she picks the option that makes the most sense, that's when I say, okay, great. Let's go ahead and get this submitted for you, see if we could get you approved. Great thing is America will give us an instant decision. All they need is they're going to verify your identity. We need your driver's license. They're going to verify your medical history. We need your social. They're going to want to know who they're going to pay. We need name and date of birth for your beneficiary. They want to know how you're going to pay. So we need your routing or account number, routing and account number. Could be a checking or savings account. Go ahead, grab all those items for me, Miss Mary, and I'm going to start your paperwork. I've got your information here, name and address. Let me start punching that in. And I go right to business, and we're writing her up right then and there. Now, once we write up the policy, I did actually skip a step. One of the things that I like to explain to my client, I like to utilize this product benefits. So before I show them the 3 options that they're going to select from, and I like to call them plans because we're putting a plan in place, I utilize the final expense benefit sheet, which is just the benefits that are included in the final expense product, as you see on your screen here. And then if it's a mortgage protection, I use the mortgage protection benefit sheet that you see on your screen here. And this is just like describing in detail what's included in the plan. So instead of just saying, here's a piece of steak and some Brussels sprouts, I can say, here's, Cajun ribeye, medium, from the most tenderest cows in the world or whatever, make it sound good, right? And with these products, you don't really have to make it sound good because they include so much for the client, but it's just being more detailed instead of saying, hey, here's $10,000. Here's a $10,000 policy that's permanent, premium is fixed, won't ever go up, coverage is fixed, pays out to your beneficiary, won't expire on you, those type of things. And then finally, I use the policy recording documents, okay? Policy recording document I use is the client insurance coverage form on the right here. And this is just a 1-page document that just details the plan that we put in place today, your contact information, the company's name, the policy number, because most companies will give you a policy number up front when you submit the application. Policy details, this is a $15,000 whole life policy. Premium draft date 2 to 3 days. I don't push draft dates out because if they die before the draft date, their family doesn't get the money. So 2 to 3 days, I tell them. And then the premium amount, you sign, they sign, and I leave that with the client. And then I leave them with this policy poem that just talks about how important what we did today is, and make sure you keep your policy in place. and that's my lead. So I staple my business card to this, but if you don't have a business card, as you see, your contact information is here. So you can utilize this and get going even before your business cards come in. And it's really that simple, guys. Obviously, there's little nuances that you'll learn by doing. So your goal is to get out and get to your first 15 appointments as quickly as possible, and then look to your first 100 appointments, because that will complete your training. It's on-the-job training here, what we do. And so you want to get with your mentor, ask all the questions you need to ask from going through this orientation. And then from there, your next step is to be able to get some leads, get out in the field, start protecting some family, get to those first 15 appointments as quickly as possible, and shoot for 100 appointments as quickly as possible, because that will complete your entire training. By then, you should have come across every objection on the phone and overcome it, and how to overcome it, and then come across every situation, almost every medication in the home, and how to be able to underwrite it and get the client approved on the spot. So we're super, super excited to have you on board. I hope you're excited to launch this career. We're here for you. We're here to support you. We're here to help as many of you make a six-figure income as possible that want to apply themselves. The next and final section is our hiring station. And this is only for those agents that say, you know what? Yep, I want to be able to sell insurance as a job, because that's what it is. You're a professional insurance broker. That's your job. But then, you know what? I also want to start a business. I want to be able to hire some folks. I want to be able to help them, plug them into the system, and also be able to make an override on the policies that they write, so I could create some passive income while I'm working on my active income, all in one place. So the next section, if that's you, click the next video. But if that's not you, that's fine. Get started, produce as much as you want to produce, but get with your mentor within 24 to 48 hours to be able to figure out what's your specific game plan. What does your lead strategy look like? What does your schedule look like? And let's launch your business and get you paid within the next 7 days.